Welcome guys, I'm going to give you a film analysis on the camera moves of the movie Shazam from 2019. How those shots work, how they were set up so that they inform how the audience is supposed to be feeling, and what if they're nervous about something, if there's tension, and also exactly in telling the audience what they should be even thinking about. Now for our first shot, let's lay the groundwork and foundation for what this scene is about. So basically, young Thad is in a car driving with his dad and brother as they're going to grandfather's house for Christmas. And dad and his brother are picking on him. So what this shot is basically doing is, it's a dolly out. Where we start on a close-up of young Thad and we dolly out to reveal brother and father have disappeared from the car and something weird is going on, something magical. And what I really like about this, and why would you do this with a camera move? I think it's because it's a little bit harder to do. It's almost like the difference between seeing magic done on a television show where they use CGI, or when you see a magic done in real life. You know that it's a little bit harder to do, and so it's more believable that the directors kind of tricked you into building you into this way, into believing that they're still there and they're actually not. And what's so great about this camera move is in a lot of dolly outs, it's dollying out to show that tension is being released, which is a great way to do that because close-ups are more intense sometimes. And when you dolly out, you're sucking the tension out of the room. But that's not what's happening here. This shot works a lot in the same way as a dolly in does, except it dollies out to reveal more information. It's kind of a realization for both the character, young Thad, and the audience. We dolly out though for a realization to see what we're seeing. The reason why it's working as a realization is because when we dolly out, we're revealing more information, and that more information gives us a higher level of tension because we don't know who's driving the car for one thing, but also we don't know what's happening with the magic. And so that's what this dolly out does for us. It reveals more information and increases the tension. There's another shot that is from the same angle as the dolly out, but it's a little bit different. It's a little bit further back, and we can see the seats of the car. And the first time we see the shot, it's got a little bit of the jacket of the brother, and that's on purpose. He's basically suturing in us to think that the brother and dad are still there, even though we're not seeing very much of them. And then we see that same shot again later, and we can only see the headrests. And so now when the dolly out happens and we don't see the headrests at all, we still think that they exist there in that shot because we've been establishing that earlier on in the scene. And so that's all working to establish that the brother and father are still there. So he's tricking the audience into thinking they're there, but they're not actually there. So that when we dolly out, we're still thinking of those other shots, and we're surprised to see that no one is there now. And what's also key to this moment is that Thad is looking at his magic 8-ball. Now, he's not paying attention, he's not looking up, he doesn't see that his dad and brother are missing. And so what this dolly out is, it's essentially a subjective POV of what Thad is seeing. It's not handheld because it's not actually what he's seeing, because we're looking at Thad himself, but it is a subjective view of what he is seeing. So then when we dolly out, we are seeing what he is seeing as he sees no one in the car.
I was overwhelmed, honestly. He said I must be pure of heart.
Now this next shot is actually a 2-for-1 deal. We've got 2 camera moves cut right next to each other, and they work together to create the same effect and the same feeling, not feeling, but really metaphor to show you, and foreshadowing to show you what's going on to happen. So we start off on a dolly in on Billy, and he's just as offended or hurt his little foster sister's feelings. And so we're pushing in on him on a dolly. And now honestly, what happens a lot with a dolly in is the feeling that the character is feeling as we're dolly in on them often, or quite often, has to do with if they are feeling a feeling, it's emphasizing that feeling. It's creating extra emphasis on the feeling that they're going through, and that's what's happening here. Or is it? We're feeling he feels bad, he's saying something, he feels bad for what he did, and making his sister feel bad. And as we dolly in on him, then we start to the voiceover of somebody else from the next scene starts to come in.
I was overwhelmed, honestly. He said
And the ominous music comes in as well. So what is all this about? It's about creating a dual thing. It's also creating tension that is working with the voiceover and the music of the next scene that's coming in. And then what we do is we cut to the shot inside the villain's clinical laboratory, and it's a figure drawing of the wizard. And what's great is Billy is in the same part of the frame as the wizard is as they cut to. So it's foreshadowing that Billy will become, not the wizard himself, but will acquire the wizard's power and become Shazam later in the future. What's happening in that shot is it's dollying out. So it kind of works as we're dollying into the moment, and then we dolly out of the moment. And we keep dollying out, and this shot becomes as the young woman scientist comes in, and we follow her, and that is how we were introduced to this next scene. Now for our third and final shot, we're going to be talking about a moment where basically the villain has gone after Shazam, the superhero, and Shazam can't fight him, doesn't know how to fight him because he's just a novice superhero, and he says Shazam and turns back into Billy and tries to run away. So it's really, as a director, you got to be thinking about, like, how does it feel? How do I make it feel like Billy is getting away? And not that the chase is continuing to happen, that Billy is actually getting away, even though the villain continues searching for somebody. So, and we still stay with the villain as he searches for somebody. He does find somebody, Billy's foster brother. And so what it does is it starts off on a close-up of the villain. And he's looking around wildly at other people. And he looks away. And this is key. He looks away from where Billy was going to be. And we cut on that to Billy. Now, if he looked towards Billy, and it might have appeared that he found him. But that's not what happens here. And so they had to have him look away. And so he looks away, and Billy's looking at him because he sees where he is. And then he turns away and starts going away. And what happens here is the camera is following Billy, and there's a whole bunch of people around him, but Billy is going faster and the camera is going slower. So it appears that Billy is getting more and more in the crowd, and he's getting further away from camera. And so he's getting away from us, and he's disappearing into the crowd. That's what that is helping us see. And then we cut to not a close-up of the villain, but of a wide shot of the villain as he continues looking around. And what we do is we are pushing out. So this sometimes happens with dollies out, like I've explained before, where our dolly out releases tension. And this is kind of releasing tension, but it is releasing tension, but also it's that it is taking the subjective POV of Billy, and he is leaving and getting further away, and so is the camera. It's getting further and further away. And what happens here is the director gave particular blocking for the actor and told him to wait in place for a few moments. And that's key and important because we need this breath of moment to feel like Billy is getting away and he has gotten away. We need to feel like that moment has happened and that conclusion has already happened before he starts moving forward again. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the show, and we really dive into camera moves and how they break down and how they work. And also we're trying to break into things and to help directors work themselves. And like, subscribe, hit notifications. Really appreciate your comments on how we can improve. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching.